Tanmayataya Tadavo Banedos Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Mahimanatosmi Bhaktya Vinira Aparadalakshay Chiptasya Kamadi Tarangamadye Kripamaitam Sharanam Prapadyam Vrindehi Namaste Charanarvindam Tavoivasmi Na Jivami Tam Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tam Nayamam Charantike. First, I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Astotra Sat Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. And the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. To Srila Bhakti began Bharati Goswami Maharaj. Srila Bhakti began Keshav Goswami Maharaj, our Param Gurudev, whose divine disappearance day it is today. To Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and all of his transcendental associates. To all the devotees present, all the assembled devotees. On this most auspicious day, our Srila Prabhupada said once, when he was leaving for India the first time, and there was paintings of the disciplic succession. So he offered his full dandavats to the paintings, and when he stood up, he said, the grandfather and great-grandfather take care of the children better than the father. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, while I'm gone, will take care of you better than me. So similarly, now we have another, that is Avadut Maharaj, Achyutananda Prabhu, and I have another Param Gurudev too. We have one on Gurudev's side and one on our Prabhupada side. So I'm first going to request my dear godbrother Shripad Avadut Maharaj to speak something of the glories of our Param Gurudev. Turn this.
Shri Chaitanya Vishtam Stapita Mekala Shvayam Rupta
More towards him. More towards him. Turn. I know, I am.
Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sarira Gauri Krishna Chaitanya Sundara Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Jai Jai Chaitanya Jai Gauri Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram. Offering first line and recognize the Lord's feet and spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and similarly, the dust of Lord's feet on Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Guru Maharaj, and to all of the devotees present today. First day of Kartik Bharat Niyam Seva 2018. So, Syamarani has asked me to say something about the glories of Srila Bhakti Pragya Kesha Goswami Maharaj. And I feel very humbled. He is such an exalted soul, far beyond what I have any capacity to speak of. So I'm only respecting her order by saying what I'm going to say. So we have Param Gurudev's Samadhi in Navadvip at the Devananda Gaudiya Math, where many times we stayed during Kartik, and we heard the glories from the Lotus lips of so many sadhus and Gurudev about his Mahima. And he was the one who designed and constructed the Devananda Gaudiya Math and incorporated it with our own Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and others of the Devananda Gaudiya Math as a registered governmental institution. And Srila Krishna Maharaj designed everything beautifully. Of course, the center of the temple is the mandapa where the deities are. We know Vihari, Balahadev, and then the mandapa where the devotees sit and chant. And then there's, of course, residential quarters, offices, and in the entry there's a big lion, a couple lions devouring two elephants. The elephants being our karma, our sinful activities being devoured by bhakti in the form of devotional service, which, dissolves the hidden sins, the manifest sins, the seed-like sins, and even the ignorance which creates all karmic sinful activities. So that's the entryway. And then he was describing to some devotees the layouts, and then of course the kitchen area is very big and important because this is a kitchen religion. And of course to host a parikrama of thousands of people you need a big kitchen and some strong cooks. But the steps leading up to the altar have three different colors: blue, golden, and aruna, kind of like saffron. So everybody could figure out that blue is Krishna and golden is Radha. So they asked, well, what about this color here, the aruna, the saffron? What does that represent? And they're very, humbly or shyly, Kishmara says, no, that isn't my color. So he is internal Manjari, Vinod Manjari, and even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj used to call him, I believe, Vino, very familiar, in a familiar tone, because they were so intimately connected. In fact, he used to leave the door open for Kishore Maharaj to come in after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had taken rest. So he got that incredible proximity of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, with so much love for him, and knew he was from an aristocratic family of landholders. And in fact, one time he had to send him back on his mother's call because the land renters or sitters were not paying their due rents. His mother didn't know what to do without her son. So Bhaktisiddhanta gave him permission. He went back, and I believe on horseback he rounded up all the culprits who were not paying, and the main culprit he tied to a tree and beat. And when everybody else saw that, then they all came up immediately with their rent. Of course, you couldn't get away with that in America today. They sue you left and right. But in India, you can get away with it. So, his birth was very interesting. His mother, or the ladies, they called him Jonu, I think. Jonu? Jonah, which meant golden, right? He was beautiful, baby. And she had one day put him out in the sun after massaging with mustard seed oil, and an eagle picked him up and took him off in the air. And the mother was like, Mother Yasoda when Krishna was taken away by Trinavarta, screaming and yelling, "My baby!" But the eagle put him down right into a lake. And there the family was able to rescue him. So his career was just so brilliant that, we have a biography by Gurudev about his glories, and he even requested, when he saw Mandala Printing publish this huge, I know many of you have seen it, huge volume about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada, and Gurudev also asked the owner of Mandala Press, "Can you publish a book like this about my Gurudev?" Which, they never did. But he asked them, and they should have honored it and done it. But anyway, so in that book you'll find so many amazing pastimes of Bhakti Pragya Goswami, who left that aristocratic family but had connections which manifested when he was going just begging. He would beg with a little box. The box had a lock on it, and Siddhanta Saraswati had the key, so it couldn't be opened by the Krishna Maharaj, as if he would take the money. And he would put the rupees in that, or the paisa. And Bhaktisiddhanta was one of the first to use a motor car in the service of Krishna. So I believe he was in the motor car one day, maybe it was a rickshaw, but anyway, he saw Krishna Maharaj lying under a tree, resting from the day's collection and preaching, with his head on a donation box. And he touched Siddhanta Saraswati so much because he said, "Look, it's my disciple. He has given up his aristocratic family, his wealth, everything, just to serve you so humbly." And it touched his heart so much. But in the course of going door to door, he met one of the family friends, which was, I believe his name was Jagat Bandhu, who was very wealthy. And he let Krishna Maharaj in, was surprised to see him in saffron, or one day it was a white cloth then. And Krishna Maharaj explained to him, the preaching mission of Bhaktisiddhanta. And Jagat Bandhu became completely, enlivened and offered to pay for the construction of Bagh Bazaar there. Bagh Bazaar there. So the main printing headquarters of Bhaktisiddhanta was given by as a result of the door-to-door preaching of Srila Bhakti Pragya Keshav Goswami Maharaj.
In this connection, he offered a land, but Srila Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj said, "How can you offer a plate without food?" So he understood that he had to give money to build the temple as well.
And the maintenance. So, by that arrangement, Calcutta center was established, even though Bhaktisiddhanta's guru, Gaurkijodas Babaji, ordered him not to go to Calcutta. And he said personally, "I will never go to that hell called Calcutta." So why did Bhaktisiddhanta disobey his guru? The same reason Ramanujacharya disobeyed his guru, who told him, "When I give you the Diksha mantra, don't tell anybody." But he told everybody. And his guru said, "What are you doing? I told you not to tell anybody. You're going to go to, are you afraid, you're going to go to hell for this?" And Ramanuja said, "I'm ready to go to hell, but I just want to make sure everybody gets, the means of achieving liberation from this world." before I go to hell. Because only Bhaktisiddhanta's same mission was to liberate the jivas from their entanglement in this world, even if they had to go against the advice of his guru.
Wow. Didn't he say, I'm not in Calcutta, I'm in Vaikuntha.
No.
I never went to Calcutta.
So, anyway, Bhaktisiddhanta established his printing press, and after Bhaktisiddhanta left, Krishna Maharaj continued publications with the help of course, Srila Gurudev and others. And his devotion to Bhaktisiddhanta was tested on one Purkama in Navadvip, because the Sparta Brahmanas were very disturbed, and the Jati Gosais, who wanted to claim a monopoly on bhakti by their seminal lineage, hereditary line. And Bhaktisiddhanta was, and they would not initiate anyone but Brahmanas, but Bhaktisiddhanta was, of course, initiating anyone who was touched in their hearts and ready to serve, whether Sudra, Vaishya, or Mlacha, or whatever. So they wanted to counter Bhaktisiddhanta and attack him when they were on the parikram with employed thugs and rogues and gundas, and told the police not to do anything that day. So they bribed the police the next year. They didn't stop them from killing Bhaktisiddhanta. So when the attack was getting ferocious, then Srila Kesha Maharaj told Bhaktisiddhanta, please give me your dress. I will wear the saffron and you take my white dress. You stay here. Or you escape, You escape and then I will stay here. They will attack me and think that I am you, but you will be free. So Bhaktisiddhanta did what his disciple requested. They swapped dresses. Bhaktisiddhanta escaped, and the Lord protected Kesha Maharaj, so eventually nothing happened. But the thing was, he was ready to lay down his life at the feet of his spiritual master. So if you are ready to lay down your life also at the feet of your spiritual master, then you're qualified for bhakti. So, that is another story in the history of Kesha Maharaj. How long do you want me to go on for?
I'd like.
So, even by the facial features, I don't know about you, but whenever I looked at Kesha Maharaj and looked at Bhaktisiddhanta, there seems to be some kind of similar features. Very, very sober and grave. So, I know in India at that time, they also when Gandhi's movement was very popular in those days. But anyway, there was a rule the government came up with about registering the sadhus, because maybe some of the unprincipled so-called sadhus were doing nonsense or whatever. So they wanted to register all the sadhus, and Bhakti Pragya Maharaj wrote a very strong letter to the government saying, no, you cannot do this. The government, which is like Kshatriya, is trying to rule over, the Brahmanas or the Vaishnavas. Says you have no right to do this. So they desisted from trying and register all the sadhus, and like the way the government now, they register the temples in the government books, and then the government, takes a large part of the donations that people give to the didi for the government use. The government is so demoniac. So also, there was a Muslim graveyard on the compound which Bhaktisiddhanta had purchased for the Chaitanya Math headquarters, his headquarters in Mayapur. And was actually the property which had belonged to Chandrasekhar Acharya, one of the principal associates of Mahaprabhu. So Keshav Maharaj could understand the sadness in the heart of his guru, and therefore he organized a party of brahmacharis to uproot or dig up all the Muslim graves and transfer them to another place.
Throw them into the Ganga.
Into the Ganga. Threw them in the Ganga. Which is what, Hussein Shah did to Haridas Thakur as an insult, because he didn't want to respect Haridas and bury him after he was killed, after they beat him in 22 marketplaces. So Hussein Shah, the Qazi, said, no, throw Haridas in the river, Ganga. He's not worthy of a burial, a Muslim burial. So anyway, Bhakti Raghadishwa Swami threw those bodies into the Ganga, and then he had the brahmacharis collect a bunch of banana trees and flower trees, and, garden plants. It is midnight, and they did their whole landscaping before dawn. So at dawn, maybe a few of the Muslims in the area came and looked, and the graves were all missing. And there was a beautiful garden in this place. So they went to the magistrate and said, Magistrate, somebody's completely, destroyed our holy burial ground. And the magistrate, called Keshav Maharaj and the mob people to the court and said, what's going on? Then, Keshav Maharaj was like a lawyer, he won. Any case he went to a court, he always defeated the opposition. And even the court judges would tell anybody who wanted to counter Keshav Maharaj that they're wasting their time, he's too powerful. So anyway, the Muslims also lost. There was no proof. They could not come on with any proof that there was a burial ground there.
They said the investigators there to dig, they didn't find any bones, anything, and they saw trees that looked like 20-year-old trees there, so they dismissed the case.
So anyway, that was then became a great place to offer to his guru in honor of Chandrasekhar Acharya. So then, Srimati Syamarani disappeared in 1968 on October 13 or 14. And the letter was sent by Trikam Maharaj to Srila Prabhupada, who was at that time in Seattle. Because I remember my Bhartman Pradasha Guru, Pendra Das, was there also with him. He told me this story. So, as soon as Srila Prabhupada got the letter, he was mortified. Although, of course, he knew, his sannyas guru was sick at that time. So immediately he organized a letter of condolence, which he wrote and had all the devotees sign. He returned the letter and then told the devotees, that my Guru Maharaj, gave me sannyas in 1950, I don't remember.
Pramguru did
Yeah.
sannyas in 1959.
59.
Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj gave
Yeah.
us that.
No, I meant, well, okay. So, Prabhupada ordered, Prabhupada, that Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj's photo should be put in all of his major temples in the West and Europe, everywhere. So that order was given. We're still waiting it to be fulfilled.
Now it's happening.
Huh?
Now it's happening.
Oh yeah, right.
Happening all over the world.
So, and Srila Guru Dev used to always say that don't think there's no speciality about the giving of sannyas. Because Bhaktisiddhanta, they wanted Prabhupada to take sannyas. And Srila Prabhupada said, I was afraid of taking sannyas. But by the arrangement of Narayan Maharaj and Krishna Maharaj, I was forced to take sannyas. So then Prabhupada wrote, Vairagya Yuka Bhakti Rasam Bretna Anadiptanandam Kripam Padukaduki Keshava
Bhakti Pragyan
Bhakti Krishna Sanam Prabhati. I'm surrendering to Srila Krishna Maharaj, who has forced me to take sannyas even though I was willing. So that ceremony was done in the Mathura Math, with Narayan Maharaj, our Srila Gurudev, King Prabhupada the dress and everything. And he became a sannyas disciple of Bhakti Prakash Maharaj. And Srila Krishna Maharaj was also a lion-like preacher, just like his Guru Bhaktisiddhanta. Both lion-like preachers. And of course, our Srila Prabhupada was, and went like astrologically a lion. He was born in Leo. So he was also another third generation lion-like preacher, empowered by Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhakti Prakash Krishna Maharaj. So there's so much more, but I really don't want to out of the time. But we'll offer Pushpanjali later after the clarification, and everyone should try to read, if you haven't read this biography of Krishna Maharaj published by RGV, about all the other many details of his career.
Thank you. You pass it down. So Sripad Avadut Maharaj spoke about Param Gurudev's divine birth, early childhood, wonderful activities, superhuman activities, flying up with an eagle, his renounced activities, though he was a son of a very rich landowner, sleeping on the box, and he discussed many of his pastimes. Once he was initiated by Srila Prabhupada, the graveyard, and so many other amazing activities on behalf of his Guru Maharaj. Now I'd like to ask my dear God brother Achyutananda Prabhu to speak some glory of our Param Gurudev.
So I had a lava mantra darshan of Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj in 1967.
Really?
He was. I came to. I came to India in September '67, and got off there. And I remember Hayagriva told me, when you get to Mathura, you just say you want to go to the Gaudiya Math. Just say Gaudiya Math. Keep saying Gaudiya Math. So I got there. I'm jet lagged for 24 hours in the plane, and arrived in Mathura, and I go Gaudiya Math. And there's a 25 rickshaws just screaming at me, not knowing that foreigners don't know Hindi. And one guy, he's wearing Muslim, Christian, Hindu beads, tulsi, rudraksha, crosses, green turban, and he's going, hey, I'll take you to all temples. He's a guide. Way over there's a rickshaw. I know Gaudiya Math. he takes me to Keshav Gaudiya Mutt, and I see for the first time Narayan Maharaj, who we calculated would be about 47 years old. So this is the first time I see another Bhaktivedanta Swami. Young. It doesn't look like Prabhupada. Because we look at Prabhupada, and as Kanishtas, we want to see only the form. And boy, when we rude, I would be staring at him and watching his every move and how he took his glasses off or whatever. How he'd eat. It would be very rude, Kanishtas. But, so this kind of cured me of this, only knowing the form. And Narayan Maharaj told me, you will make tilak? I said, yes. But I need the mirror. I'm not that good. And then he said, now we will see Guru Maharaj. So I didn't know what that meant, but we go through the temple, and Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj was there. He was very ill. That's the last year of his life. But he sat up, and he was very fair. He looked like Bhakti Siddhanta. His picture was very fair. And when he got up and he had shaved head, it looked like the rising full moon, like tonight. See? And all he said to me was, I'm sitting there, so he said, there are two kinds of sound, material sound and Vaikuntha sound. When we make material sounds, we get material things. And when we make Vaikuntha sounds, we get Vaikuntha things. And then he had to lay down, and Narayan Maharaj pulled me away. As a line preacher, one of his preaching methods was to go to an upper class neighborhood of Calcutta where gentlemen would gather, and he'd bump into them. He'd walk right through into there, and he'd boom, boom, excuse me, yeah. And they'd all turn around, and now I got your attention. And he'd start preaching. He was the first to establish the white marble Krishna, that Krishna is in the glow of Gaurangi, of Radharani. And also in Calcutta, our Prabhupada established the white marble deities. And I used to play with the guests. There was a gentleman who was having darshan, and he says, excuse me, why is Krishna white? And I would look and I go, no, he's black. But he's white. No, he's black. But I would make him stare at the deity with intense power. And Bhaktisiddhanta would also, his temples, you see, all of the Gaudiya mission mutt, Sangha temples, the door of the deity is very small. You can't see Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu together. You have to look. That desire to want to see that right away creates a bhava, a separation to desire to see. Also about constructing the Bhag Bazar temple, you heard the line that Bhaktisiddhanta was having all kinds of troubles with people fighting over their rooms, and he said, well, sell the marble, tear the marble out, and sell the marble and print books. Well, he built the temple from the beginning with inferior cement so that the marble someday could be taken out without damaging it, and it could get a higher price that way. So he planned it that way from the beginning. That's all.
It's a short now. I remember when Srila Bhakti Rakshashira Goswami Maharaj first came to the Math in Mayapur. There's a jackfruit tree Bhakti Pragya Maharaj used to sit under. So he was there, not as a sannyasi, but just as a brahmachari. And he had his feet up on a table and sitting back in the chair, which he would do every day. And then Bhakti Rakshashira Maharaj would watch all these householders come up to him, bow down, fold their hands, and then he would say something.
All these what?
Grihastas, householders. I'm gonna say that much. And then the sannyasis were coming up, bowing down and offering their pranams, and Bhakti Pragya Maharaj would say something to them. Who is this brahmachari that all these the renunciates and Asavas as well are offering their respects to it. So he's so curious, and that, of course, also attracted him, besides, of course, Bhaktisiddhanta to the mission of Guru.
It was interesting, Maharaj just told a story about the jackfruit tree. The jackfruit tree is still there at Sri Chaitanya Mutt, the original mutt of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where his samadhi is, and where Govardhan is, and where he established Radhakund and Shamakund. And you could still see that jackfruit tree where he sat, like that, with his feet up.
Wow.
And Maharaj inspired me to remember that when the sannyasis would bow down, he didn't move, he didn't budge an inch, he just kept sitting like that. And then the sannyasis would ask him some kind of question. He would answer the question in the same way, the same position. And then they would again bow down and go. Thank you for that. And thank you, Achyutananda Prabhu, for a self-realized class of that Lava Matra Darshan. Lava Matra means 11th of a second. Even if you get 11th of a second of a pure devotee, your path to back to Godhead is there, and he actually met him. And what were the things that Param Gurudev told him? There are two
Kinds of sounds. Transcendental
Yeah.
and Vaikuntha sounds and material.
and then,
Material.
and if what?
The results of the
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you both for those beautiful expositions.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to speak? Madan, do you have some glorification to share? Okay. And wait, turn that towards him.
I remember two stories. One of them was when Shivakesha Maharaj was young, he was going to high school. Every day his mother was giving him some money for for lunch. So he established a club with his classmates. There was a few, he was going in a very, prominent school, so there was a few rich kids, and he used to convince them to give their lunch money, and once a month they go and find one poor sadhu and give him the money to help. One night he came home very late, so his mother was very angry, ready to chastise him, ready to ground him. But when she asked him, he told her, "You always taught me to be kind and compassionate to the less fortunate. So that's what I've been doing. We've been saving our money. I created a club with my classmates, and once a month we decide to go and help one of these poor beggars on the street." After that, his mother never questioned his decisions, ever. Another story I remember is...
Can you clarify that story further? That he said there was a lady tonight who had cholera, very old, helpless lady. So we were taking care of her, and as soon as she was a little okay, then I was able to leave.
Okay, I didn't remember this detail.
Another detail, his mother had a stick on her hands. When she heard his explanation, the stick fell off on the ground.
Yeah, she dropped her stick
Oh,
and began to weep. And then, as you said, she said, "I'll never chastise you again."
Isn't there
Okay,
another
thank you
story
for this
about a mother and a
detail.
stick and a son?
I
Isn't there another
heard this
story?
many years
Yeah.
ago.
A mother with a stick and the boy?
I don't know.
Another one?
Yeah.
So I want to finish one more story. When he was in Mathura, the Nimbarka Sampradaya, published something very bad against the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And when the news came to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, he was very, very angry with them. So in response to that, he wrote an article in the Bhagavata Patrika. The article says, there is no such acharya as an embarker. So, he said the acharya of the four Kumara Sampradaya is Nimbaditya, is not Nimbarka. So, they decided to take this case to court. And when they went to talk to their lawyers, the lawyers told them, do not go against Keshava Maharaj. He will destroy you, he will destroy all your sampradaya. He will take all your temples, everything. Do not go against him. And this is the story as I remember.
Yeah, you're going into a snake hole.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak? So you heard just, Vedanta Sutra Prabhu, you just heard two very nice pastimes from Madan Mohan Prabhu. One about Param Gurudev's mother, and that even when he, before joining the mutt, he was so compassionate. And we'll discuss later how he's compassionate later as an acharya, but you can see even from his childhood how he was compassionate, and you could also see how he could not bear the slightest deviation in philosophy, and especially any offense to his Guru Maharaj, as you'll see soon.
Om Ajnana Tamarandasya Ganajana Stakaya Chakshul Amilitam Ajnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhakti Pragnan Keshava Maharaj Srila Param Gurudev Ki Jai. So, when he was Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, his mother was getting ready to leave the world, and she had requested him to come home during this time. And when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada found out, he also requested Vinod Brahmachari to go home, because that is sort of the way of the Indian culture. If your mother is leaving, you should be there. So, a little while later, Srila Prabhupada came in, and he had heard that Vinod Brahmachari was hiding. That he never went. He went and he hid. So later, when Srila Prabhupada confronted him about why he didn't follow this particular order, Bhakti Pragam Keshava Maharaj, who was Brahmachari, told his guru, Srila Prabhupada, he said, actually, in every birth I can get a father and a mother, but in millions of births, it would be very difficult for me to get a guru like you. Because if I go home, my mother, I cannot deny any request that she asks for me, and she will want me to take care of the properties. After she leaves, she will want someone responsible, and she'll ask me, and I cannot deny this. And therefore, because I want to stay at the shelter of your lotus feet without any impediment, and that is everything to me, then I did not go. And Srila Prabhupada was overwhelmed with a feeling for this great disciple.
Thank you, Vedanta Sutra Prabhu. You just heard great Guru-nistha and love for his Guru. Thank you so much. Before I speak, I think we need to take a little walk to the Jamuna. Want to do it after? We'll take a little walk after. Because since today is the first day of Kartik, it's also the day of Sankalpa, where all the devotees take vows. For example, Srila Gurudev said, in this month of Niyam Seva, extra rules and regulations, no one criticizes anyone. Already we hear from Gurudev that if we criticize anyone, then even if they don't have the qualities we're criticizing, those qualities come into us. But it's especially dangerous in the month of Kartik. So after I speak, we'll all go to the Jamuna, and you can either just perform Achman or you can take bath. And we'll have a few minutes to do that and sing Jamunastikam. And then we will come back and perform Guru Puja to Srila Param Gurudev. Is that correct? Okay. So, yesterday we sent out this fantabulous lecture of Srila Gurudev's on the Harikatha mailing list, which was a lecture, not just a lecture, because just like so many brilliant devotees spoke today in glorification of him, Srila Gurudev called on various devotees to speak. And then he spoke. It was actually the same day, wasn't it? So when he spoke, he told about a 1955 Istagosti. So this Istagosti was attended by many of the great, powerful, intellectual giants who were disciples of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Like, for example, Srila Bhakti Vidyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj's guru, that is Bhakti Doit Madhav Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, Yayati Maharaj, and so many other. Gurudev said you cannot imagine how advanced they were and how brilliant they were in Siddhanta. So they were all gathered together at this Istagosti, and one young sannyasi named Hrishikesh Maharaj, he asked a question, because Istagosti means discussion. You question and answer on Siddhanta. So he asked, there's some confusion in the Swarup of the Jiva, and I haven't found anybody yet who can help me solve this confusion. There's an apparent contradiction between our acharyas. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung that whatever I think of during my sadhana, that is the perfection that I can achieve. So my particular perfection is determined by the type of sadhana I do. On the other hand, we hear in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself spoke to Srila Sanatana Goswami, Jiver Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nitya Das, that the Jiva is eternally Krishna Das. So the other devotees are saying Nitya Das means there has to be a specific kind of Nitya Das. Like he will be a Sakya or a Saki or a maidservant or a parent. You can't have a Das without a something Das. And that is his form is already there, his name is already there, his particular service is already there. So we're confused. So the God brothers were talking, and then Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj gave a wonderful reconciliation of these two apparently contradictory verses by Srila Narottam Das Thakur and Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. and also further explanation proving with great praman or Vedic evidence that the constitution, the Nitya Das, which is in the constitution of each jiva, is individual, it's fixed, it's specific. And everything is already there in the constitution of the jiva, which is his swarup. I remember Mukunda Prabhu, our Alachua scholar, he once said that if somebody says, I'm a doctor, then you ask, well, what kind of doctor are you? Are you a medical doctor? Are you a theological doctor? Exactly what kind are you? And if you're a medical doctor, then are you an Ayurvedic doctor? Are you an allopathic doctor, or what? And then if the person says, no special kind of doctor, I'm just a doctor, then you'll wonder, is he really a doctor? Because it's impossible to be a doctor without a specific kind of doctor. Similarly, it's impossible to be Nitya Das, especially if it's Nitya, it's not going to change by any association that you have, or any sadhana that you do that's different from what is already in your constitution. So this is when the famous seed example was given by Param Gurudev, that you have hundreds of seeds in the soil on the bank of the Ganges. You have a jackfruit, you have a bubble tree, you have a mango seed. Bubble tree is like a thorn tree. So if you plant those seeds on the bank of the Ganges in the same exact soil, and they get the same exact sun and the same exact water, same exact rainfall, even though their environment is the same, only what's in the seed will come out in the tree, the same thing. So then Gurudev continued that he was saying, he quoting his Guru Maharaj, that if you get the association of a Madhurya Rati Guru or Vaishnava, that means somebody who's situated as a Saki or as a Manjari, but in your constitution you're a Saka, a coward boy, then you'll never be able to come to Madhurya Ras. You'll remain what you are. As Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj, what you are, and you will be. So then paraphrasing his Guru Maharaj, Gurudev continued, and if you're in Madhurya Ras and you have a Sakya Ras Guru, then at some point you'll not be satisfied, just like Gop Kumar. He was satisfied for a certain amount of time with Lord Jagannath, with Lord Narayan, with Lord Ram, in Dwarka, with Dwarkadish. But then something inside said, I need more. So finally you'll keep going and going, get another guru and another, until you reach the one who is in the same rus as you, who's an ocean of the mood for which your soul aspires by its nature. So then he said, he's quoting his Guru Maharaj, Srila Param Gurudev, that regarding the verse from Srila Narottam Das Thakur, according to the sadhana I do, whatever I meditate on at the time of sadhana, that's what I'll achieve in my perfection. So Param Gurudev is quoting Srila Rupa Goswami, saying that it's a particular, only at a particular state of development in bhakti can one actually engage in sadhana. That is, he's already aware of who he is. because this is called Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti. And that's performed by a Raganuga Bhav Sadhak. And they have, as you can see in the verses of Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that the Raganuga Bhakta is capable to meditate on the associates of the Lord in their sadhak forms and follow them. For example, Bande Rupa Sanatana Yugo. So this Raganuga Bhakta will follow Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami in their outer activities, chanting so much, roaming and feeling separation, studying the scriptures, observing Ekadasi, so on and so forth. And internally, he will follow Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, Labanga Manjari, and the other Manjaris in their daily services to Srimati Radhika. So such a person who's qualified to actually do sadhan, he's already seeing his internally conceived form within his heart. And thus, he himself, as we discussed a couple of days ago in the discussion of Vilapkus Manjali, he'll go internal consciousness, like Raghunath Das Goswami, and think, I'm Rati Manjari. He'll forget that he's Raghunath Das. Then there's half internal, half external, and then there's external, where he's still burning in separation, like a big forest fire. So that's the standard of devotee who can do real sadhana, and by that sadhana, obviously he achieves that perfection. And Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, who spoke just before Param Gurudev, he was giving so many examples about how even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not enthuse Murari Gupta, who is a Ram Bhakta, Hanuman, to switch to the service to Radha and Krishna. When Mahaprabhu came to his house, Mahaprabhu said, I know where you've kept that knife to kill yourself, because you can't not follow me, and you can't follow me, because you're a great devotee of Ram. So he said, I'm so happy, and he embraced him. So, but Mahaprabhu was able to change Venkatapat, Prabodhananda Saraswati, Thakur, and Gopal Bhatta, who were in the Sri Sampradaya worshipping Lakshmi Narayan. He was able to transform them into Radha Krishna worshippers, because they did have their ras in Madhurya, but by tradition they were following the worship of Lakshmi Narayan. They were pretending to be sadhaks, and thus they could change, although they were already inherently in Madhurya ras. Does that make sense? So Srila Gurudev said, my Gurudev gave so many arguments, but I don't have time to explain them now. And then he went on to the other pastimes of him. But as Shripad Avadut Maharaj mentioned, this book is a must-read. The Acharya Keshari, the lion-like Acharya, but Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, because it has all of his glories. I mean, not all, an atom of his glories, but for us, it's an ocean. So, at the end of this lecture, Srila Gurudev said, so I offer my Pushpanjali, just as we will do when we perform Guru Puja. I offer my Pushpanjali, the flower-like offering of my heart, to the lotus feet of my Gurudev, so that we can all understand who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, who is Gadadhar Pandit, Nityananda Prabhu, by the grace of Guru. And actually, he was when he was still talking about the Swarupa of the Jiva, he quoted his Guru Maharaj, who quoted Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Shikshastakam commentary, who was quoting Jiva Goswami and Baladev Bijabhusan Prabhu. So Gurudev is saying, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is of the same opinion. And Jiva Goswami pointed out the same thing. And especially Baladev Bijabhusan Prabhu pointed out the same thing. That Swarup is forever fixed. The constitution is forever fixed, forever, from no beginning to no end. So Srila Gurudev was ending this lecture by saying that, so I pray to him that you will all always be in his line. Isn't that so sweet of him? You'll always be in his line forever. Another glory that he told about him was that he could never bear even the slightest offense to his Guru Maharaj. Like one time, I think that was the Nimbarka group, as Madan Prabhu mentioned. They said that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is just chewing on a pit. There's no rust in him. So immediately he told Gurudev, get out your pen and start writing. And then this whole court situation occurred. And he said, although he was so strong like a lion like Acharya, and all opposing elements were afraid of him, at the same time, he was just as soft as a flower. And he told the instance of Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj. In his younger days, he was in charge of the press in Parag Gurudev's temple at Chichura. And he was helping one of the devotees who was working in the compositor, either printing press or the old composing machines before the computers. And so he had his hand in such a place, like, did you ever have your hand on a conveyor belt at the airport and then it starts moving and you get hit by the suitcase? So he had his hands somewhere so that all of a sudden somehow the presses started moving and his fingers got chopped off. Part of his fingers got chopped off by the press. So Param Gurudev was nearby. He immediately started weeping. He went there. He put Srila Vaman Maharaj on his lap, then he and wept, and then he immediately took him to the hospital where they did something and joined the fingers back together again. And then after some time, he went back to work on the press. So he was as soft as a flower, as a rose, with his disciples. And Gurudev said sometimes even some of his godbrothers who were with him at the time complained that, why are you spending so much money on your disciples? So Param Gurudev would reply that they have given up everything. Their wives, their children, their jobs, their rich situation, their aristocracy, for me, and now they're, as you heard from Sripad Avadut Maharaj, that they, is that where you told the story of the box, right? Yeah. He was using that hard tin box as a pillow to sleep on in the middle of his collection. So now they've become just like beggars for me. And so how can I not give myself to them? So some of these godbrothers became so angry at that they left him and started their own institutions and mutts. Still, so many godbrothers remained with him. Once, Gurudev said that Param Gurudev would, every time after Gaur Purnima, he would take Gurudev to, and his other disciples, to the temple of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And once, many of the godbrothers were there at that same temple. And incidentally, that temple in Mayapur of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Gurudev told the history of that actually that was previously part of the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj told Param Gurudev, I'm so old now, I can't just run around here and there and preach. So you're young, you're so qualified, you're so powerful, you travel everywhere and preach, and give me some of this land so that I can build a bhajan kutir and do my bhajan. Of course, we know that even in that one place of doing his bhajan, so many people from around the world came to take his darshan and his shelter. But anyway, Param Gurudev immediately turned over the land to him and went for preaching. So now, so many godbrothers were there in his mutt, and Gurudev said, you can imagine the discussion that went on with this caliber of devotees, godbrothers. And he quoted the verse from the Bhagavatam, 4th canto, that in the place where pure devotees live, there's a constant, unending stream of nectar coming from their lotus mouths. So they were discussing various Siddhantic topics. And one verse came up, it's the 5th verse of Upadeshamrit. That is, they were discussing how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's translation of that verse by Rupa Goswami states that if one utters Krishna's name even one time, then he should be honored as a Vaishnava. Offer obeisance with the mind, honor with the mind, manasadriyeta. And if one has diksha and actually is developing some sambandha relationship with the Lord, then one offers obeisances with his body and with his mind. And if someone is sunyari ninda, he has, or nindari sunya, sorry, not so good at Sanskrit. If he's free from all offenses, beginning with the offense of criticizing any Vaishnava, and has more Vaishnavata, more Vaishnava qualities than everybody else, then he's an Uttama Adhikari, and you can give your head to him, just like Maharaj mentioned, that he was prepared to give his whole head so that his Srila Prabhupada could be saved from the attackers. So they said that's Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's comment on that verse. But we see that our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he's saying that if a person is chanting, and he's wearing, even if he's wearing mala and tilak, but he's not following scriptures or his Gurudev and he's committing offenses, then no need to honor him as a Vaishnava. He's not really a Vaishnava. I'm sorry?
He's a Kali Chela.
He's a Kali Chela. He's a student of Kali Yuga. So there was some confusion, there was some discussion going back and forth. Shall we follow the commentary of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or shall we follow the commentary of Srila Prabhupada? So finally in the last, Param Gurudev said, we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now. We know Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We know Nityananda and Gadadhar Pandit. How do we know them? We know them through Srila Prabhupada. He's the one who introduced us to them. He's the one who gave us their teachings. So, and he knows hundreds of times more than we do about them. What to speak of that? Srila Prabhupada is the son of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He followed him with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's scriptures on his head when he went with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur for Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's classes when he was just a child. And they're both self-realized souls. So what do we want to do? We follow Srila Prabhupada. And through him, we can understand the real deep meaning of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So all the godbrothers were astonished, and everyone accepted that, yes, this is correct. So now, we will, by His mercy, we will, but just one more sentence. He left at the time when the Rasa Leela was starting, in the evening, as he was chanting, so he entered into the Rasa Leela. And my god sister Saradiya, she met Prabhupada when she was 16. Today is the Saradiya Ras Purnima. So she was named Saradiya by Prabhupada, and he knows everything. He's such a Sankalpa. He knows everything in the future, what's going to happen. And what he says is going to happen, happens. So he named her Saradiya, and then she left her body on this same day, Saradiya Ras Purnima, 2 years ago. So interesting. So now we're all going to do Sankalpa, to take our vows. So let's walk to here we go, we're walking to the Jamuna. Now we're all in front of the Jamuna, and we don't see the Jamuna as we see it with our material vision, with these big cement pipes and old rags floating down, but we're seeing all the lotus flowers and the cranes standing there and the swans and the cows moving. And now we are taking Achman, if you like, and if you can take a dip, you get 1 second to take a dip. And now we're going to sing. Did you have a good time? And now we're going to sing Jamuna Astakam, and then we'll rush right back to Radha Govinda Mutt here. And then starting tomorrow, we'll be doing Parikrama. So, what page?
306.
306.
All together.
All together. And Shay will hold the mic so that her sweet voice can be prominent. And she's going to sing loudly, aren't you?
Okay.
Page 306.
206.
306.
306. Yeah.
Rajyanantarasyapatane vipatiharini Eshayati papino kripapasindhudarini Niramani virapasheshati prabandhini Mam pranatu sarvadara vindabandhunandini Kari kari daraya vimandito Kandava Pundarika mandalo jaganda jari kandava Snana kama pamaroga papa sampadandini Mampunatu sarvadara vindabandhunandini Shikaravi vishtajantu tulipakamadini Nanda Nanda Nantaranga Bhakti Puravardini Tira Sangama Vilasi Mangala Vibandini Mampunatu Sarvajara Vinda Bandhunandini Dvipa Chakravala Drishta Sapta Sindhu Vedini Shri Mukunda Nirmatoru Dega Geri Vedini Kanti Kanta Virgalinda Nira Vrinda Nindini Mampunatu Sarvajara Vinda Bandhunandini Maturena Mandalena Charuna Vimandita Premanada Vaishnava Gavardhanaya Pandita Urmitor Vilasa Padmanabha Padamandini Mampunatu Sarvajara Vinda Bandhunandini Ramyatira Lamba Manaloka Lamba Bhushita Tiryagandha Vakadamba Pushparaji Rushita Nanda Sunu Bhakta Sangha Sambrama Vinandini Mampunatu Sarvajara Vinda Bandhunandini Now you can take a moment to give your vows, say your vows for the month of Kartik, like I will perform Mangal Artik every day in my house. I will perform Tulsi Puja every day in my house. I will not criticize anyone. And I will be like Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, that even if someone criticizes someone, I will say, I don't see any faults. I see that they're engaged in Krishna's service. And I will, every day, I will attend parikrama. We're going to be, you can download the parikrama schedule of Gurudev from purebhakti.com, right? And so even if you can't come with us, you can do it on your own with the Gurudev's Braj Mandal Parikrama book. Oh Prabhu, you're not a book, you're Gurudev yourself, you're all the pastimes yourself, you're Radha and Krishna, your associates yourself. Please all of you be merciful to us so that we can realize in our heart these beautiful pastimes. And then when you read the book, you can touch the land to your head and eyes as the dust and heart and tongue. If you see a lake on that page, you can do achman, you can take a dip. And I just want to mention that just as we have Param Gurudev's biography, so in this book by Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj called My Beloved Masters, there's a very long chapter about Param Gurudev. Just as Param Gurudev used to file court cases and Srila Gurudev used to take the notes. So Srila Bharati Maharaj tells the many histories when he would take the notes and he would write up the depositions for Param Gurudev because he's one of the main Shiksha Gurus of Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. So now we're going to, as Maharaj said, you know, when you start talking and just the waterfall comes, and there are so many more things, but time is running out. So now we're going to be performing Guru Puja. As usual, first you offer the flowers to your own Diksha Guru, and then if you have a Shiksha Guru who's you consider as non-different from your Diksha Guru, then you can do him, then go up the line and to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav, and then his Guru Maharaj. I don't even see who's there, but you know what I mean. Okay, who's going to be leading? And then we'll have Bogarty.
Who wants to lead? It's the same as Gorarti too.
Same as Gorarti too? Oh yes, so what page is that on?
Okay, what page is it?
Back to the songbook. We're so lucky to have these songbooks.
What's the number of flowers? 226.
226.
That's the same as Gorarti.
Who's leading? Advaita Prabhu. Okay, great.
Chita's coming, I think, to do the arti. No, it's Chita.
Sorry? He's very sick with tuberculosis, right? Is it tuberculosis? Oh, no, Mohan, yeah. Thank you. Take care of him. That's why I favored you.
Marge, would you like to do the arch?
Yeah.
Would you like to offer the arch?
She said she was here, so we got up and got
Srimati Syamarani Maharaj ki jai. Hariya Chirabhakti Ki Mahamudra ki jai. Arjat
Jaya Jaya Guru Deva Srimati Hare Rama Hari 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 Ol.
No feet, no.
Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Shri Kartik Prat ki jai, Pooja Prat ki jai, Shri Radhika Chakarani ki jai,
Jai. Hari Hari Ol. Krishna Bhakti Prabhupada Krishna Chavasaya Namaha. Jai Shri Guru Jai Shri Guru Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gaur Jai ki jai. I'll bring it back. You can use this. Go ahead. What? Why don't you go ahead? Small one. Small one. That's actually a malt, but anyway. Yashomadina Hari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari Jaya Giridhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giridhari Jaya Giridhari Yashoda Nandana 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 Yashoda Nandana 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 Yashoda Nandana Nandana Yamuna Tira Madhari Yamuna Tira Madhari Yamuna Tira Madhari Yamuna Tira Madhari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Rasa Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Rasa Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Oh Jaya Radha Govinda Jaya Radha Govinda Jaya
Italy Rubbish Product, Terrace Session, and Bhakti Swami Gopal, PJ, Paras, Shivan Bhakti, Landanai, Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Italy Rubbish Paras, Session, Bhakti Vijan Bharti Maharaj ki Jai. Italy Rubbish Paras, Session, Shivan Shri Bhakti Pragya Kish Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Italy Rubbish Paras, Session, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Mahabhavi Govindoras, Bhavi Bhashya, Satya Swami Sachidananda, Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Krishna Vasarva Goma, Jagnadas Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Gauri Viran Chavari Vidushan ki Jai. Vishwanath Chakravarti Mahasaya ki Jai. Shadanan Shivasana Kampata ki Jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai. Vrindavan Thakur ki Jai. Sri Rup Sanatan Raghunath Das Bhaji Prabhala Said Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Raghunath Vaishu Brahma Baba Shalami ki Jai. Namchari Haridas Thakur ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाश श्री गौर भक्त की जय, श्री आचार्य महाप्रभु की जय, श्री रसमंडल की जय, श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र की जय, श्याम कुंड राधिकुंड गम जमुन तुलसी भक्ति देव की जय, नासनाम श्री नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, भक्तपराध की जय, कुपेश्वर महादेव की जय, पूर्णमासी योगमाया हस्त सखी सुमंजय जगन्नाथ बालबलाम की जय, श्री दास चक्र की जय, Chardam Chachar Sampradaya ki jai, Radha Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Radha Govinda Mahadev ki jai, Niyam Seva ki jai, Rat ki jai, Damodar Rat ki jai. Jai
I have Mahaprasad from Varshana and Sam Das from Chundavidya Saki's village. Which is the first time I've ever been there. Chundavidya. The sugars from Varshana, from Shiji Mandir, and the rest is from the Gashtumas.
Wow. I realize like every week I don't have a best friend that is email and
That's Prashadam. Don't leave without Prashadam.
Pretty sure, yeah.